This is Luke Paulson, the Catholic Conservative, and welcome to the news of the week for July 26th, 2025. And if you enjoy these videos, do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. The seal is intact. The job of a district judge is to work within his district. He cannot just arbitrarily make decisions that affect the entire country. I'm not sure where they got that idea, but I digress. Moving on, Washington State tried to create a law forcing Catholic priests to break the seal of confession. For those of you who do not know what that is, let me catch you up. During reconciliation, a priest is bound by the seal of confession to never disclose anything that is said. This is similar to doctor-patient confidentiality. In other words, the state is asking the priest to break a vow made not only to a member of his congregation, but also before the Almighty. Thankfully, a judge, specifically a district judge, struck that down. This was a shot across the bow. Less than a decade ago, churches were shut down over the uncommon cold. And before that, pastors had their sermons subpoenaed. It is time that we take a stand and take it now! Speaking of judges, let us go on to a lawsuit brought by President Donald Trump. The imaginary birthday card. The Wall Street Journal is being sued by President Trump over a salacious and libelous article that it printed. The paper claimed that President Trump sent a suggestive birthday card to Jeffrey Epstein in 2003. This was before a single person publicly knew what Epstein was up to. That was revealed in 2008. And Epstein was immediately banned from Donald Trump's properties, especially Mar-a-Lago. With that information in mind, the letter, even if it was real, and the paper has no proof that it is, it would be completely irrelevant. However, because there is no proof, this feels just like the Steele dossier that was created by the Clinton campaign, which she and the DNC were fined for. The Democrats are just getting absolutely pathetic. Well, getting is a relative term these days. Now let us move on to another lie about our president, because there is an update on Russiagate. The president worked with Russia. It is official. There was presidential collusion with Russia, as you can see here.
My last election, yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah, I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir and understand.
Oh wait! That was President Barack Obama agreeing to collude with Russia. It has since been revealed that the Obama administration knew that there was no proof of any cyber attacks benefiting the Trump campaign on behalf of Russia. This was known as far back as September of 2016. However, by December of 2016, President Obama could not risk Hillary Clinton losing. As such, according to more than 100 pages of emails, memos, and records, President Obama ordered the intelligence community to find something. Joseph Stalin's head of secret police is credited as saying, "Give me the man, and I will give you the case against him." Basically, this means that a person does not have to commit a crime to be guilty of the crime. So all of the liberals who still believe in the Russia collusion narrative have President Obama to thank for picking up where the Clinton campaign left off. The fake news just cannot stop lying about Russia. As such, let us talk about one of their newest conspiracy theories. Colbert gets the pink slip. I say the fewer reporters that we have for the fake news, the better the rest of us will be. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert has been canceled by CBS. Although this comes after he criticized his bosses for a decision that they made, this has absolutely nothing to do with President Trump. But for whatever reason, the fake news believes that it does. Granted, it looks like he is going to last through the end of his present contract, as the show will not end until May of next year. This means that Colbert is going to get even more unhinged in his conspiracy theories. He might even do another vaccine musical number, or some other such nonsense. All the while, he is going to continue to lose money for the network because of his Trump derangement syndrome. Again, these liberals are getting unhinged. However, his talking points are the same as NPR and PBS, if they stay on the air. The end of NPR and PBS. The public broadcasting station and National Public Radio are having their funding cut and may be completely eliminated. Last week I talked about how not having a federalized school system would make it harder for the imaginary fascists to control the youth. Not having a state-funded radio program also makes life harder for said imaginary fascists. If President Trump really is a fascist, And he is not. He should be endorsing having a public radio station to spread his talking points. Instead, he is trying to dismantle it. Again, this makes him the first fascist in history to try and limit government power. I really do not see how President Trump can be called a fascist. As I said earlier, liberals are just unhinged. Some of them are even stealing land from grieving families. And that cannot be defended. California land grab. After major disasters, land can be purchased very cheaply. We saw that very thing right after the Maui fires. Both of these fires had something in common. There was a lot of mismanagement, and the fires got a lot worse as a result. U.S. Special Envoy for Special Missions Rick Grenell has accused Governor Gavin Newsom of trying to get the land cheaply. Governor Newsom has allocated $101 million to construct low-income housing. Roughly 200,000 acres, or about 300 square miles, were destroyed as a result of these fires. By my calculations, that is roughly $320,000 per square mile of the affected area. Normally, this property is worth about $330 per square foot, or about $9.2 billion per square mile. According to my calculations, Governor Newsom is buying up the land for about 0.0035% of the real value. And that seems to fit the definition of buying up cheap land from under people who lost everything, almost entirely as a result of the policies of the Democrats. Governor Newsom is throwing these people crumbs. Granted, I do not have anything to back that up aside from these numbers. We, as a country, are starting to heal from the liberal pathogen. However, let us talk about a literal pathogen, the outbreak of measles. I want to show you these two clips from the Brady Bunch.
Oh, no. Are you sure it's the measles?
Well, he certainly got all the symptoms. A slight temperature, a lot of dots, and a great big smile.
A great big smile.
No school for a few days. Boy, this is the life, isn't it?
Yeah, if you have to get sick, you sure can't beat the measles. That's right, no medicine.
Inside or out. Like shots, I mean.
Don't even mention shots. Yuck!
For years, this virus was treated just like chickenpox. It was not until recently that people started treating it like it was the bubonic plague. People need to stop scaring themselves to death. CBS reports more than 1,200 outbreaks around the country. That is about 0.00036% of the population that has to stay home from work or school. Let us assume that 10% of these are serious. That is 120 outbreaks, or 0.00036% of the population. And so let us put this into perspective. It is estimated that 400,000 people die from medical malpractice annually, or about 0.12% of the population. It is estimated that traffic fatalities amount to 39,345 deaths, or 0.0118% of the population annually. Plane crashes result in about 1,537 deaths per year, or 0.0000256% of the population. In other words, you are more likely to die from medical malpractice, a car crash, or a plane crash than to suffer an outbreak of the measles. And you will probably live through that with America's great medical care. Our hospitals will not be overrun even if the majority of these are serious, especially since we are not locking people down over the uncommon cold. Again, the numbers do not lie. Speaking of numbers, WNBA paid fairly. Women's National Basketball Association players recently wore "Pay us what you owe us" shirts. Alright, let me break down the numbers for you. The WNBA is reportedly in a $50 million deficit, and the organization keeps losing money. The WNBA has a roster size of 15 players per team, with 13 teams in total. This means that there are around 144 players. If we divided the deficit amongst 144 players, they would owe the organization over $340,000 each. Naturally, none of these women are going to pay that because they think that they are important. Maybe if people watched them play, the organization might not be in debt, and they would be paid more. Basic economics to these athletes, like most liberals, is hopelessly complex. Now, speaking of the economy, President Trump may have just made a terrible, but inevitable, economic decision. The Fools Act. The so-called Genius Act is the very opposite thereof. There are a lot of things in the bill, but one thing in there is something that will supposedly make the central bank digital currency one step closer to reality. If you do not know what that is, Here is the short version. CBDC is a cryptocurrency that is controlled by the government, who can then raise it or lower it based on your social credit score. A lot of people are saying to have cash on hand, but it will be like trying to buy things with Confederate money. Other people are saying to have gold and silver. But the government can either pass a policy making these precious metals worthless, or just do what President Franklin Delano Roosevelt did and confiscate it all. We can delay CBDC, but it cannot be stopped. This is because I believe that it is the mark of the beast and nothing will stop it. The only thing that we can do is preach to those who do not know Jesus and pray for a blessing from the Almighty. It is also possible that in attempting to negotiate peace in the Middle East, that President Trump's actions will lead to the rebuilding of the temple, which is the beginning of the end of the world. And at that time, the Antichrist will emerge from the shadows and say,
"It's frightening. Turns the legs to jelly. I ask you, to what end? Dread it? Run from it? Destiny arrives all the same. And now it's here. Or should I say, I am."
Maybe I'm just blowing smoke. Maybe I'm completely off my rocker, but that is just my opinion. And do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe for more. But before you go, on the left I have last week's video, but you may also enjoy the video on the right.